This is what good barbecue smoke looks like. It's nearly the same color as the grill. Temperature. Hey, what's up guys? It's Troy from the Weber Kettle Club, and today we're gonna smoke some baby back ribs or some loin back ribs in the 26-inch Weber kettle. I've already got my kettle set up with the slow and sear, and what I'm gonna be using is this Blues Hog premium lump charcoal that I picked up from Big Papa Smokers. And I'm gonna be using some peach wood that I picked up from my local place. You can use peach wood or cherry wood or apple wood or all kinds of wood with pork. I'm gonna be using peach because I really like peach. Peach and cherry go really well together. I got a mini chimney of some lump charcoal, and I'm gonna use the Slow and Sear XL because the big blue 26-inch Weber is precious to me, and I don't want to ruin the porcelain. And the Slow and Sear is a really good hack for using your Weber kettle and keeping the heat on one side and the indirect offset side nice and even. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this mini chimney going, and then I'm gonna put it here, and I'll put a wood chunk on top of there. And before I even start cooking, I want to make sure that I get the right smoke. So getting the right barbecue smoke, getting the trick to getting really good barbecue and smoked pork is getting the right heat and getting the right smoke going in your pit before you ever put your meat on there. You want a nice thin blue smoke, and that's what I'm going to be waiting for. I'm going to get the charcoal going, and then I'm going to pour it in there. I'm going to let the grill come up to temperature and get the right heat zone and get the right fire going before I ever put my meat on there. But now we can go inside and at least prep our meat. I'm rubbing my ribs front, back, and side to side with Big Money, Sweet Money from Big Papa Smokers. This is a fantastic rub. It's on the sweeter side. If you don't like the sweeter rubs, they also have one that's just called Money. It's a really good competition, really just general pork chicken rub. The Sweet Money is the sweeter version of it. If you like it really sweet, which is the sweet that I like, go for the Simply Marvelous Sweet Seduction, also from Big Papa Smokers. I've probably gone through 50 pounds of Simply Marvelous Sweet Seduction in my barbecue lifespan. When I was catering, I used a lot of the Simply Marvelous Sweet Seduction. I bought a rub package that had like a sampler of a bunch of rubs, which is why I have this Sweet Money. But normally I would be using the Simply Marvelous Sweet Seduction. I also removed the membrane. Always remove the membrane, the inside membrane on the baby back or loin back ribs. Anyone telling you that you don't need to remove the membrane, or that they don't remove the membrane, that they like the chew, they're lying. You can leave a comment down below saying that you like the membrane and you like that chew, but I know you're lying. I know you're lying. I know that you just made that shit up because you couldn't figure it out. And I know it's frustrating, but it's not that bad. Use a butter knife or a spoon handle or something just to pry. Just pick one bone, pry it up. I'll make a video about it sometime, but pry up under the membrane and just peel it up and get the whole thing peeled and just peel it off. Use a paper towel. It's really not that hard, and it's totally worth it. You don't eat the membrane. Don't eat the membrane. Hey. Okay, so our mini chimney is ready. I lost my hat somewhere, and that's okay. We'll put that back on in a minute. The charcoal is ashed over on top. The handle is fucking hot. I'm just gonna pour this on the side of the Slow and Sear. So I got little spot there for fresh coal, and then spot there for unfresh. I'm gonna get a chunk of this peach wood. This is some good shit here from Sharp. If you're buying wood on the internet, you can get it from Sharp, or you can get it from fruitawoods.com. That's where I used to always buy mine, but I buy this locally. I'm able to buy this locally, and it's really good stuff. Let me get this open. Alright, so I'm putting the chunks of peach wood directly on top of the bitch. Just gonna shuffle some fuel around to make sure that the grates fit. That's one thing with the Slow and Sear is it fills up the height space. You have to work your fuel around a little bit to make your grate fit. Alright, so we're gonna let this fire come up to the right temperature and get the right kind of smoke. We'll close it up. I got the lids, got the vents at the bottom partially closed, about halfway closed. On the top, I'm gonna put the lid, put the vent. This is where the vent conundrum happens. Ideally, you want your temperature zone, your temperature probe over here, where your meat's going to be, but then your vent is directly over the fire. So I tend to prefer my vent over the food, so the smoke and everything comes over this way. But then the dome probe is over the heat, and that's not the most accurate measurement. So right now I'm gonna start at 50-50. So it's been about a year and a half, maybe 2 years since I've smoked ribs. I used to be really serious about barbecue, and at one point I even considered quitting my job and pursuing kind of a career in the competition world. I wanted to compete, and I spent a lot of time practicing with ribs and pork butt. Never mastered the brisket. Got pretty good with chicken, but ribs and pork butt were my specialty. But today's cook is going to be me doing it in a way where I've never done it. I've never smoked ribs on a 26 with the slow and sear using lump charcoal. So this is a first for me. As you can see, my smoke right now is not thin blue. It smells really good. The backyard smells amazing. But the smoke is nice. The smoke is blue, but our temperature is way too hot. We're up in the 500s. This smoke will definitely cook. Like, you can cook on this and get it going. It smells wonderful. But I'm gonna get the temperature a little lower. I close my vents. These vents were fully open, and the vents down below were fully open, or about half open, and I pushed them down to about a quarter. So I still want the fire to breathe, but I just want a little crack of air in that vent and a little crack of air in this vent. That's gonna bring the temperature of the pit down. I want it to be around 250 to 300. I don't want it super high, over 400 or 500. For barbecue, for these ribs, you can do ribs at hotter temperatures with the hot and fast method. I'm going to be using the 3-2-1 method. My ribs are going to cook on my smoker for about 6 hours. My ribs are going to go in the smoke for 3 hours, and then I'm going to put them in foil and add some juice and some butter and some good stuff like that to help them kind of braise and soften up and tender up. They'll stay in the foil for 2 hours. After they come out of the foil, we'll take them and put them back in the heat and help them firm up again for 1 more hour. It's called the 3-2-1 method. It makes fall off the bone ribs perfectly cooked that are nice and tender, nice and juicy, with a good bark, with a good smoke ring. Slamming ribs, this is how we do it. But first, gotta get that fire down. Gotta get that fire temperature down a little bit. Alright, well, our temp was actually a little lower than that a minute ago, but I opened the lid. The grill is at, the temp is at 350 at the dome right now. Normally I would put in an actual device that I can monitor the temperature at the grate level, because the dome temperature is a little bit above and it's gonna be off by like 30 or 40 or some shit like that. I don't really care about the dome temperature right now, but I'm gonna be using only the dome temperature for this cook. I'm not gonna add any wireless devices because I can't find them right now. I know I have all of them, or most of them, and I'm gonna review them soon. So look forward to videos in my channel for all those different wireless thermometers. I'm gonna review them and compare them. But for this cook, I'm just gonna go nude, gonna go native, gonna go all natural. The dome temperature looks like it's settling in at 350. I got my ribs here on a pan. As soon as I open this up, my wood is probably gonna catch on fire, so I wanna do this as quickly as possible. I'm gonna lay my grates, my grill. I like my ribs to lay flat. Oh yes, my ribs are rubbed with Big Papa Smokers Sweet Money, which is a championship rub. It's a good rub. I've gone through probably 5 pounds of this rub in the past already, so I know it's a good rub. I normally use the Sweet Seduction from Simply Marvelous, and I also buy that from Big Papa Smokers, but this time I just wanted to buy the sampler pack and get a bunch of rubs. So there we go. All right, now I'm gonna go inside and wash my hands, because all right, I'm gonna take my meat hands inside and wash them. We'll come back to the grill in probably an hour or so, just to make sure our temperature is still in the zone. We're gonna have to add a chunk of fuel and another chunk of wood eventually, but these ribs are gonna be on the smoke in the heat for 3 hours. Again, we're gonna do the 3-2-1 method. They're gonna be in the heat for 3 hours. They're gonna get a nice smoke ring. They're gonna get smoked and cooked. Then we're gonna put them in foil with some liquid to help them get nice and tender and soften up and work some more flavors into that bark. Then we're gonna take them out of the liquid and put them back in the fire for another hour. It's a 3, 2, 1. I almost gave you the finger. I just gave you the finger with the 3, 2, 1 method. Sorry about that. So it's been about an hour and a half, and the smoke has stopped, and that's okay. So we're not looking for a bunch of smoke to be coming out of the smoker. That's not the smoke that you're looking for. You're looking for a thin blue smoke. It doesn't even really need to be visible. Just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not there. So the vents are coming down. You can look at that. I got some stain marks on my Glen blue already from smoke. The temperature at the dome, so the dome is reading like 250, 300, somewhere in there. Our ribs are, man, it smells nice. It smells nice and porky. It smells porky. It smells like porkies inside here. The ribs are getting some good color. They're not getting super dark yet, which is cool because they're gonna get smoke for another hour and a half or so. I do need to add some fuel. I don't want the fuel to get down to this level of just smoldering because it's a little harder to recover. So what I'm going to do, the fold-up grate that the Weber comes with makes it easy for adding fuel. I'm just going to use these old tongs and open that up. Give this a very gentle mix. I don't want to kick up a bunch of ash because the ash will land on my precious ribs. And we'll come over to our bag of Blues Hug premium lump charcoal. We'll find some nice ones here. There we go. What's nice about these big lump pieces is you can work them in there manually. I'm just gonna grab a handful of the smaller ones. Get the small shit in there. The small pieces are actually really good because they fill more gaps and they get more surface area and they can get more burning going more quickly. What's nice about cooking with lump charcoal is you can add charcoal right now without having to worry about any additives in the charcoal. Like if you're adding Kingsford Blue or some shit like that, you're gonna get some weird off tastes from that charcoal just because it's got additives for binders and whatnot. And those aren't good eats. Those aren't good eats. With the lump charcoal, you're only getting wood. You're getting this, essentially. You're getting wood that's been charred and burned up without any oxygen and turned into charcoal. So, alright. This is gonna take a minute to get going, but I think we got enough heat in there. And I think our vent settings are perfect to keep the temperature in the 250, 300 degree zone. Even if it goes up to like 400 or 500, it won't be the end of the world because the slow and sear is in there. The slow and sear will keep this area hot and this area indirect with a different heat zone. So it's all good. It's a safe thing. If I wanted to get crazy, I could add water to the water tray in the slow and sear and make my Weber into a water smoker. Hey, look at my hands clean now. Isn't that crazy? And my tripod's dirty. So I could turn this into a water smoker, but I never bother doing it. I do find that the water is a nice way to cool down your fire if you get it way too hot, but I'd rather use my vents to manage that. And that's a crow dab. Alright, it has been 3 hours. It's actually been like 3 hours and 20 minutes. The ribs, I want to get in here and look at the ribs, make sure they got a nice color. I'm not really going by a tenderness at this point. I'm going more by color. I want my ribs to have a nice mahogany color, and they look nice. Now it's time to put them into foil. Gonna put them into foil, and the foil I have is this Reynolds wrap. It's only 12 inches wide, so I'm not sure if one pass of foil will be good per slab of ribs or if I'm gonna need to do something different. This is gonna be difficult to do with one hand, so I'm gonna go ahead and set up the tripod. All right, so here's what we're gonna do with these ribs. A lot of times I'll take them and I'll spread some brown sugar on them, and then I'll hit them with some honey. But today I'm just actually gonna do the honey. I'm gonna skip the brown sugar and see how the sweetness comes out. Just gonna hammer them with some honey. The honey's gonna help form a nice bark, make that bark nice and sweet and a little bit sticky. Add a little bit of sweetness. The rub is already sweet. It's already a sweet money rub. We're just gonna make these ribs even sweeter. I like my ribs nice and sweet. From this point, I'm gonna take the ribs, turn them over. This is much easier to do with two hands, but I'm doing the one-handed grilling technique here. Thumbs up this video, please, for the one-handed grilling technique. This is a patented method that I've developed over the years of trying to hold the camera and doing the video at the same time. I'm just kidding, that's really a pretty dumb joke. Edit that out, Editor Troy. I did peel the membrane off of my ribs. Anyone who tells you that they like their ribs chewy and they leave their membrane on, they're making that up because they can't figure out how to remove the membrane. So if you use 18-inch wide foil, you won't have to double it up, but my foil is only 12 inches wide, and it wasn't quite wide enough to actually just fold over and make a seam and keep a seam. You want it airtight, that way all of the liquid can kind of boil and steam and braise that meat. I'm pinching the edges of 2 sheets of foil around my ribs because the foil wasn't wide enough. And I'm going to add liquid. For the liquid, I'm using some sort of like Hawaiian peach guava nectar. I usually use like a peach nectar or an apple juice or some sort of fruity liquid. You could totally vary this method and use, you know, beer or hot sauce, or I don't know. You could get fucking crazy with the 3-2-1 method if you really wanted to. It's just that the traditional American barbecue and the way that I like it is like really sweet, and I'm trying to go for like a peach fruity theme, hence the peach wood. And all right, so I foiled up the ribs. I put honey on there. I got my hands nice and dirty again. I added a little more charcoal to the mix in case you saw there. The ribs are foiled up. Now the ribs are going to stay in here for 2 more hours with the liquid in there, with the honey on there. The liquid in there is going to make the meat come up nice and tender. Going to make the meat pull away from those bones. Going to make it all nice and tender and juicy and delicious. 2 hours. 2 hours. We're going to come back. 2 more hours. All right, this is where shit gets real interesting. The ribs have been in the grill for about, holy crap, that's bright. Ribs have been in there for a little over 2 hours. The temperature is good. Oh man, it smells so nice outside. It smells nice. So, surprise, they're still in the foil. I'm gonna take them out right now. This is where it actually gets interesting. If you try to take these out inside your grill, like if you try to rip open the foil, chances are all that liquid's gonna go down in there. Whew. And that's not good either. That was good timing, by the way. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set up my little tripod right here. Ooh, there's a leak. Be very careful of the steam when you open this thing up. You can get steam burns on your fingers, or on your face, and your nose, your lips, whatever your appendage you're trying to put into here, and you get a sniff. Try to prevent the foil from tearing down and spilling all of its juices. I want to be able to transport it into the trash can when I'm done, if I can. Otherwise the dogs will be licking the concrete for days. At this stage in the cook is where you take your ribs to that fall off the bone state. You get the pull back on the bones here. You know that these ribs are fall off the bone tender when you get this pull back and you get the ribs shining through like this. So I got to be really careful putting these ribs back onto the grill. We're gonna put them back on the grill and let them firm up a little bit, because right now they're pretty tender. So what I do is I take 2 pairs of tongs and I come at it from both sides like this. All right, here's what our ribs are looking like right now. Got the fire, it's open. I got another the last chunk of peaches in there, giving the last little kiss of smoke. The bark is softened right now, as you can see on here, but the ribs are sticking out a little bit. Got some nice little bones poking through. Gonna close this up for about 30-40 minutes. We can come back and glaze it if we want to with some sauce. I'm not sure if I will yet though. All right, the Weber Kettle Club initiation begins right now. Nah, just kidding. All right, we can get our board down here. Let's check out our ribs and see how they're doing. All right, the ribs have been on for like 40 minutes with no foil. Ooh, looks like the bark has set up a little bit. I'm gonna take a toothpick and just poke in between the ribs just to see how tender the meat is. A lot of people like to do the bend test, where they take the ribs and they pick them up with the tongs like this. If you pick them up and they will break or so without, I don't know what the bend test is, but these ribs are not quite as tender as I was looking for. I'm looking for a little more fall off the bone, but they are done. So I am gonna take them off, put them on the, here we go. Some nice baby back ribs, smoked up with peach wood. Let's give these a slice and a bite. Go check them out. So the ribs came out really tender and really juicy, but they were definitely not fall off the bone. I wanted them to the point where I could actually take the bone and pull it out of the meat with the meat remaining intact. I didn't get that, but I did achieve a really nice bite through. So that's actually what most people go for when they're cooking ribs. That's what the KCBS declares as perfectly cooked, and that's what drives a lot of the rib snobbery and internet barbecue people calling fall off the bone ribs overcooked. I'm sure there'll be some in the comments below about overcooked ribs and fall off the bone being overcooked and blah 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 blah. It's all just a bunch of horse shit that's driven by the KCBS declaring that, you know, the bite through is the perfect thing. And that's just because they have to train their judges somehow. I mean, literally, they take their judges in off the street, so it's not like it's a legit thing. I mean, it's barbecue the way you want to fucking barbecue. That's what I'm saying. These ribs were bite through. I wanted fall off the bone. That's cool. My biggest complaint about these ribs, though, is that the Blues Hog barbecue lump charcoal just had too much like mesquite flavor or something to it. It was a really smoky and bitter kind of smoke. Not like the peachwood at all. I could barely taste the peachwood. I could smell the peachwood, but it tasted more like over-smoked, and I definitely didn't have an over-smoke situation going on in the pit, at least as far as I was seeing. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below with what you want me to cook next. Thumbs up and subscribe. Peace.